Welcome home, all. We are on Thursday, March 19th, and a couple days ago, as we were finishing up this past show on the 17th, St. Patty's Day. Hope everybody had a great St. Patty's Day, by the way. I hope some of you appreciated my attempt at green, not just my tie, but we actually even did the lights in here a little bit more green. We have there's a handful of colors we can select from to make it a little bit different. So tonight won't be as green. It'll be a little more red or something else. Anyway, so we did that on the Tuesday night. And as you're watching this now, you're seeing the title for tonight's stream. And if you're Mexican American, or if you're Mexican in America, if you're Mexican American, then you're almost like you'd have to be living, in a cave somewhere off grid to not have seen or heard the things that have gone on since regarding UFW founders Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. That's going to be the main focus of tonight. And as I talked to my producer as we were on our way over here, there are very few things in Mexican America. And again, if you've been here a bit, you know that I've talked openly about the things that we do not have, the things that we need in terms of people, leaders, figures that we can identify with or look up to or emulate. We don't have a lot, or at least not enough. Not to say there isn't any. I've been clear about that, but I will say there's not enough. And clearly to a point where the standard isn't that we not only have Mexican American figures that we can emulate or look up to or believe in or consider icons in our community as a whole, but they don't break that ceiling to get to a point where they're national and they're on the same pedestal as other cultures, other ethnicities in terms of the national figures and national attention that our people get that way. We don't. We just don't. And I'll argue that with anybody. You can quibble, you can point out this one or two, but as a whole, we do not. We do not. And that is quite literally why I want to do this, going forward and a slight revamp / update as to what the format used to be for this show. But I want to speak specifically in this topic in particular, this item, this issue, this news over the last few days after the Tuesday night when we were going home and it started to break as I got home. And then obviously over the last couple of days, even more is coming out now. This is tailor-made for Super Mex Nation. This is for us to address, to discuss, to analyze, and to assess where it is, where we are. Okay, so that's the gist and the main focus of the show tonight. However, we are still going to go through process with the things that we would normally do anyway. And we can get all those things done, in a show. And, again, you're minimizing them to a handful of items, 1, 2, 3 items, boom, 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 and done. And as I said in the last show on Tuesday, this isn't easy. It's not easy material. I'm requiring more of you. I'm asking you to think more and to process more. And I'm going to be ugly here, but it's the truth. And it needs to be said. I said it in the classroom when I was a teacher, and I did get my result. I had success, and that's not me being personally aggrandizing, but on numbers, data. I had my successes based on the fact that I told my students up front that it was going to be hard, that it was going to be difficult, and then I would navigate a road for them to be able to do it and show them how to do it, how to learn, how to grow, how to be more, how to score higher. And we did. Again, not 100%, but better than everybody else. You don't have to be 100. You just need to beat everybody else. So for here in what we do, again, I want you to think, I want you to analyze, I want you to break things down. I want you to make deductions on what you see that is objectively true, and then to come up with a good assessment and not color your assessment on political wins or political tribes and where you feel you have to be because you're told you have to be there. I can be on the left on some issues and totally right on the other issue. There's nothing wrong with that. Whoever got into your head earlier in your life or early on and made you one or the other did you a disservice. And I'm going to say that that's even if it's your parents, your teachers, etc. Because as you age and as you grow on as an adult, you'll see that, wow, they didn't tell me about that. I didn't learn that, right? It's quite literally using your mind, using your brain, using your intellectual skills, your cognitive skills to make fact-based decisions on what's in front of you and not be swayed or moved through emotion, emotionalism, or any irrational thought that isn't based on logic and what is fact. And then if there's a little emotion spiced in there for other reasons, I get it. Religion is a very heavy emotional motivator. Culture in many different aspects and measures is also one. Varying things. But again, you're making deductions, you're observing, and you're making hard decisions for yourself. And that's why this show, and I've said before, and maybe I'll leave it here and stay here, but this is the Thinking Mexican American show and the Thinking Person show in general. As I've said a million times, and I'll say again, we don't just have Mexican Americans watching my show. And thank you for those of you that are not, but do. You know who you are. Appreciate you. So we're still going to get a reminder, and this is like really crazy cool because we're going to address the Dolores Huerta, Cesar Chavez news and situation and do it in Women's History Month because we're still in Women's History Month. So I'm moving and segueing into, what I've decided to be our beginning to every show, a primer, tell you what's coming, and then getting into naming or viewing and raising as people to watch, pay attention to give some attention to, women in Women's History Month, Latinas, Mexicans, Latinas, Hispanics, etc., all the above, depending on this show. But what I'm doing, and we're going to start with that tonight. Again, like I said, we've been doing that for all of Women's History Month. So all of Women's History Month will begin the main topic with a couple of women that we're pointing out that need more attention or that I'm raising and bringing to your attention for you to get a look at, take some interest in, and to help them grow. In some cases, it's as simple as, and I'm not saying like, for instance, the two tonight, but there is a component there. And I'm just going to say it. It wasn't for me when I was growing up this way. It was different. But for this current iteration of our society, this generation, if you're growing in notice, it's because your Instagram or one of your socials or some of your socials, Instagram in particular, are growing and the numbers increasing. Okay, and these two ladies in particular are subject to that in some way. But here's the difference. So last Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we did two actresses. And in many ways, you can make the argument that Alicia Sanz and Melissa Barrera, two actresses, one Mexican, one Spanish, it's important for them to be seen, to be noticed, and to be followed, like say on Instagram, right? Because the very nature of their job, actresses, acting, is to be seen and to be noticed and to gather more attention that way. So that one specifically, being an actress or an actor, that is specifically tailored to Instagram and other social media mediums so that they can grow. To a lesser extent, and not the same, but to a lesser extent, because their success isn't, those two ladies in particular, again, Alicia Sanz from Spain and Melissa Barrera from Mexico, they are quite literally, their presence and their growth in notice and attention and followers directly relates to and affects their craft, acting, etc. So if some gal, if one of those gals goes to like 1 million followers, that matters now in today's Hollywood and today's acting, today's media attention, today's movies and television. So if someone blows up and we've seen Instagram stars that end up being in movies and film, television. Okay, so that my point is that the social media aspect directly affects their careers, their professions, right? For actresses. Now, let me bring back to a lesser extent, and to a lesser degree, because these two women in particular, and here's what I'm going to put out. So last Tuesday, again, doing that the week. Tuesday was two actresses, one Spanish, one Mexican. Tonight is two athletes, one from Chile and one from Spain, a Spanish athlete and a Chilean athlete. So Instagram doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be better. And see if you guys get it in advance, if any of you know. Doesn't mean that they're going to be better at pole vault. See if one of you guys can figure it out. And it doesn't mean that the other gal, if she's got 1 million Instagram followers, is going to be better at tennis. All right, so I'm giving you the background, the sport that they're in. Yes, so having more Instagram followers doesn't make one better in their particular career, profession, avocation, sport. Doesn't make you a better pole vaulter, doesn't make you a better tennis player, per se, if they have more followers. But I will say that gathering and gaining more attention does help them for sure. And that's why we're here, giving love to Latina ladies that need some attention and some love to continue to do their job, their work, their craft, their career. If they do get more attention, if they get more Instagram followers, more, likes, subscribes, shares, all the hoorah, right? If they do get that, they make more money in endorsements and contracts. They make more money. And the simple fact that they make more money because of their social media presence leads to them being more secure and able to do their job, meaning their sport. They can actually spend all their time, energy, effort on building their capacity in their particular sport. So you see how, like I said, it doesn't directly affect. Like, I got one more Instagram follower, I can jump a little bit higher. No, not directly. But on the periphery and in other means, other ways, if one of these gals gets, a significant amount more in following on Instagram or other social media sites, then she's going to make more money. They're going to pull larger endorsements, and that money is going to get spent on them, and they're going to be able to use that money to enhance and to grow and to improve their capability in their sport. Maybe it's extra training, maybe it's better nutrition, maybe it's getting access to better coaches, all of that, right? It's all of it. More money can lead to them improving in their particular career, their sport. So here are the two ladies. The first one is Paulina Antonella Blanco. She's from Chile. I kind of happened on like fiddling around because I watch a lot of track and field. Old sport of mine. I ran track in high school. Wasn't incredible. My claim to fame in track was that my old coach, who I love to death, his name was Dennis Fitzpatrick, old hard-headed Irish coot, loved him. Kill for that dude. He made me do every single event in track. And he would tell me, you ain't the fastest, you ain't the biggest, but damn it, you're gonna do every damn sport or every event we got because we need points. So he would literally just throw me into things because at a track meet, you score points based on your finishings. And so, for instance, if we had a relay team, a 4x1, and for record, I'm not a speedy guy. I'm not super slow, but I'm not fast either. He would literally grab me and throw me on the second or third leg, so that we could score some points, and maybe we didn't win it because I was slow, but we scored points. And for the overall, for a track team, you want to put together as many points by having as many athletes and teams in as many events as possible to score points. So old man Fitzpatrick. So I watch a lot of track and field, love track and field. It's just actually a sport that I can watch a meet and actually lock in for an hour or two just watching a meet. like other people watch football games, and I do that too. But like other people watch sports religiously in football or basketball or baseball, et cetera, I can watch track that way. I absolutely enjoy watching track athletes. Just appreciate it. So Paulina Antonella Blanco, she is Chilean, and I kind of ran on her watching events a few years ago, and it's kind of put on my radar. And bottom line is, I'm going to say this, and again, this list is for everybody in general because it's Women's History Month. But as I was reminded by some ex-students of mine, young guys, not so young anymore. They're not 19 or 18 in their 20s and 30s, but they like the fact that we're pointing out these things, and they want they're like, oh wow, she's hot, right? And that's a big deal for them, so they'll pay more attention. And bottom line, and let's just do brass tacks here, yeah, if the young lady's good looking or pretty, young guys are going to pay attention more, and young guys subscribe and like, etc., and they get more attention. So not fighting that. I'm like, okay, whatever. It is what it is, but it's partial. It is true, right? That guys are like that. So she's really pretty. She is striking, and she is a tennis player. Excuse me if I alluded the wrong way to the other sport, but she in particular, the tennis player. I'm going to get to the track in a second, but Paulina is a tennis player on the professional circuit right now from Chile, and I'm adding that too, by the way, because if some of you haven't figured out, I'm trying to disperse and diversify to not have just Mexican only women, Mexican or Mexican American women. I want to add other Latin countries, Hispanic countries. Chile is one of them. And so obviously I'm not going to be able to cover every single country, an athlete, an actress, a musician, an engineer, a conductor, et cetera. I can't do all of them. But my point is that I diversify as much as I can, and then whoever stands out a little bit more than the others will bring forward. So in this case, again, her, I'll as with the others, I'll go back after the show tonight, and then I'll put her links. She in particular and the other gal are Instagram. That is where their major emphasis is in terms of gathering support and following. It's through Instagram. Most of you guys are good with that. So that's what her biggest push is. But again, her name is Paulina Blanco, Chilean tennis player on the professional circuit now. And I'm going to say it, bottom line, she's a gorgeous young lady. I think even I mean, she's not like number one ranked in tennis. And there's been that thing, right? Pretty tennis players, they're not number one, but they do well. And here's the thing, with tennis players in particular, they get contracts outside of just tennis. They get endorsements, they get modeling gigs, they get other things too. So that's my emphasis and my point. Let's help women by getting them additional, right? Increase their following, like, subscribe, etc., and increase the number of people that are watching and paying attention to them, because that directly affects their ability to make money, get endorsements in contracts. And that's a good thing. Women's History Month, right? Help women, not doing guys, obviously, because it's guys year round. Anyway, Women's History Month. So Paulina Antonella Blanco, Chilean tennis player. I'll add that in the Instagram link when I get home tonight. You guys can have it for you. Please like and follow her. I've seen a couple interviews. Really nice gal too. Really nice gal. Speaks decent English, but just pretty conscientious. Not, let's put it this way. I'm not ever going to give you a woman in my show on Women's History Month that isn't that has a bad attitude. I'll just make it simple. Not into that. Not cool with that, right? You want young ladies that they're respectful, they're humble, hopefully, and they have a good attitude. They're friendly, they're nice, they treat people well. I'm not giving you any that are bad. I'm not going to do that. I won't go into too far. That's not my business. But I just the young ladies and the women I'm bringing to you during Women's History Month are good people, and they care about how they treat other people. That's really, really important. If we're going to give them attention, we're going to show them some love and help them grow, then they got to be doing it right. We'll get into a little more of that later. Okay, moving on. So the other young lady, the other gal, her name is Clara Fernandez. And I'm going to be guilty here. I kind of didn't know. I had seen her, and I mean, didn't think much of it. She's a pole vaulter, but she has a pretty large following. And it's because she's pretty and she does pole vault. And I don't know that there's this like running joke in the track world with dudes anyway, with guys, that there are a lot of good looking, like pretty pole vaulters, pole vault women. And here's the thing, I don't like physically, there are events in track that you would imagine, obviously you have to, you're leaner, or you're shredded down to like no fat on your body. And obviously that could be attractive. Right. And for whatever reason, and I still don't get it all entirely. I'll just be honest with you. I don't, but there are a lot of good looking women in pole vault. Okay. They're all lean. They're all fit. They all cross train in crazy ways. Some stuff that I really didn't know. You just see them, running down the runway, right? And then strike the pole and they go over. But they have to be pretty comprehensive in their body, meaning the muscularity from head to toe. It isn't just focused on any one particular, subgroup of muscles in the body. They're kind of comprehensive in their strength and their muscularity throughout the body. It's upper body and lower, great core strength. I can go on and on and on. Anyway, I didn't get it, but when it was kind of put to me, and I saw a video on YouTube, this medium, like the top 10 most beautiful pole vaulters. I watched it. I'm like, wow, okay, there's a bunch of good looking girls. And it just so happens that, like she had popped up. She's on almost all those lists, by the way. Clara Fernandez, she's from Spain. Real pretty young lady, has a monster Instagram following and growing. She's not like the best pole vaulter in the world, like female. I don't even think she's like top 5, top 10, but kind of like other females in other sports, they're really pretty and they get a lot of attention that way. They may not even be the best in their sport, but they're getting a lot of attention because they do get some notice. If you go to a track meet, you go to an event, you're going to be seen. And even if you don't win it, you're still seen, right? You're still seen. So, and I'll say this last point it got kind of put on my radar a few years ago, a handful of radar, her in particular, a few years ago. When I did a trip to Spain to work with, to coach. I was really, really happy with that. It was a great, great time. I got to go to Spain and train a club of wrestlers, Greco-Roman wrestlers in particular. That's kind of my wheelhouse, Greco wrestling. It's what I love. And I got to train for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, a young group of guys, their teens and early 20s, that are trying to make the Spanish Olympic team in Greco. Great time. And so when I was out with some of the coaches, getting some separate time away from the gym, they took me out on their town. It was pretty cool, kicked back, went out, got something to eat, had some drinks, and we're just laughing, joking, having a good time. I really got to know those dudes. They were really good people. And I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about like Spain's athletes, because by the way, these guys are trying to make the Spanish ladder, the Spanish Olympic team in Greco-Roman wrestling. We're talking about other sports. And we were talking about, somehow it got to track. And then one of the guys, literally just one of the coaches, he just literally asked me, in Spanish, he's asking me in Spanish, like, what do you think of Clara Fernandez? And I'm like, Clara Fernandez. He goes, yeah, Clara Fernandez. And I'm like, and he looked at me funny. And then all the guys, all the gentlemen looked at me like I was like from another planet. Like, what's going on? Like, how do I not know that name? They're Spanish guys. And she's like a national thing, in Spain, national icon, because of, her beauty in her sport. And she's good. She's like, I think she's one of the best, if not the best, Spanish pole vaulters. So that's their gal, right? And they brought it up and they kind of looked at me crazy because I didn't know who she was. Well, long story short, I know who she is now, after the fact. But, and I went and looked and checked her out and like, okay, yeah, she's pretty. And she gets a lot of attention. Anyway, so she's in her early 20s. She's going to be around for a while. She's got a lot of attention, a lot of followers. And like I said, I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know she was a thing. But in Spain, she's a big thing, a big thing. And that was part of my travels. I've never been to Chile, to see the other, but I have been to Spain, and I do know I was educated on Clara Fernandez, pretty young lady, pole vaulter. Okay, so those are my two for tonight. They're athletes, and I really wanted to do. If you've seen, some of the prior shows this month for Women's History Month, I'm doing my best to attempt to diversify and spread out the attention that we're showing to women in a variety of fields and genres. Okay, so we've, without going into all of them, like, again, Tuesday, we did 2 actresses. Today, we're doing 2 athletes. Next week, when we come back, it'll be 2 separate arenas, 2 professions and genres, etc. And we started with, and here's the segue. So we're leaving off those 2 ladies for Women's History Month. And I do think it's apropos, considering what we started with at the top of the show and the title of tonight's show, in dealing with the Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez situation. But it's Women's History Month. Okay, so I'm giving you those 2 ladies, Clara Fernandez of Spain, Spanish pole vaulter. Give her some love and attention. And then Paulina Blanco, Chilean from Chile, tennis player. Both pretty young ladies requiring your attention and support. There you go, Women's History Month. Now, segue. The very first show that we did this month that I recognized in Women's History Month, a female, a woman. Now watch this. This stuff all broke within the last handful of days. I'm sure that the information's been there far longer, but it wasn't for me when we did the first show of this month, March, for Supermax Nation, and we were talking about addressing or giving attention to women. The very first woman that I did that for wasn't, a young little athlete, pretty girl at 20-something. It's a 95-year-old lady who has done good work over a lifetime. It's all the same to me, by the way. Good women doing good work is good women doing good work. So I said that she deserves as much attention as any in Mexican America, in Mexican American history, for the work she's done, especially with the volume and the length that she's been involved, engaged in, and helping civil rights, workers' rights, Mexican American farm laborers. Okay, you can make the argument that there is no other living Mexican American that has done it for that long. You can make that argument. I can't think of any. I'm a generally more well-informed Mexican American about Mexican Americans than most Mexican Americans, not saying more than everybody, far no. But in general, to top of mind, I can't come up with a single Mexican American that has done it for as long and as in-depth. Again, when we're referencing or going to and speaking to civil rights, workers' rights, specifically pertaining to farm laborers, Mexican Americans in particular, and Hispanics in general. I can't think of anybody else that has done it longer and more significantly than Dolores Huerta. And to show and as to provide a proof of evidence that I generally know what I'm talking about, because if I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't talk. I don't speak on things that I'm not comfortable in full understanding of or a great grasp of, whatever that topic, issue, or subject is. But Dolores Huerta has done it a long time, and that's why I started Women's History Month this month, and this is before all this other stuff broke, by the way. And that should clue you in that I might know something here. She is what I started this month with. She's Mexican American specifically. I've already given you the evidence in longevity. She's 95. She's been doing this since 20s and 30s, her age. That is a long time to be going at this thing. So much so that I know women, like my wife in particular, that has spent time with her, done things with her, sees her at events, still in her 90s. Ladies pushing a C-note century and still out there doing the thing, advocating, fighting, speaking, being a part of the process to improve the life and working conditions of Mexicans in the dirt. That's as good as it gets. So I can't think of anybody. If some of you are watching, don't be the usual hate of Mexicans and just try to take shots. If you've got something, if you know, if you can think of others, please, by all means, add them. I'm not the normal Mexican you can take a shot at. I'm Super Mex. You're going to need a much, much larger caliber to hurt me. Because what I'll do is I'll invite you to be a part. If you've got information I don't have, then by all means inform, educate me, because I'm willing to be educated. I don't think I know everything. But in this particular one, I think Dolores Huerta might be that right now over the life and the time that she's existed and done her thing. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. Again, Mexican America or anybody, if you've got a Mexican in America that has done something like her for as long, then by all means, share. Please share. You're not just helping me, you're helping my listeners, my viewers, and you're helping all of us in general, not just Mexican America, but as a whole. If I were a white guy, I'd want to know who the biggest Mexican American contributors to the civil rights movements are, right? Good for everybody. Okay, so let's stay on this point here. We're going to get down to business here. Again, and I said at the top of the hour that this is kind of the show. This is it. This is what I want this to be about. Supermex Nation, I want us to be able to address, talk about, analyze, assess, and do something about what we see in Mexican America, what we see in Mexican American culture, in terms of issues, in terms of difficulty, in terms of things that we need to correct and be better about so we can be more a part of the American fabric so that we're getting our fair share and adding. Now, and I'll say this till the day I die. I've been saying it for a long time. Said it in the classroom. When Mexican America realizes its full potential, the United States is stronger today, right now. Reiterate the point. I'm going to say it one more time, and I want it to be 100% crystal clear and sterling. When Mexican America realizes its full potential, the people in it, all of us, hitting on all cylinders, reaching our full potential, then the United States is better immediately. Better in every capacity, better in every way when Mexican America hits its full stride. And as I say that, the understanding is that we have not hit our full stride. We are not and have not reached our full potential. This is the part in the process by which we do it. Not just speaking, but doing. Analyze, assess, whatever those issues are, whatever the problems are, whatever the things we need to be better about are, and then take action and do something about it. So let's do that tonight. There is still more coming out. There is still more to be learned, I'm going to guess, because that's usually the way this works. But from everything that I've read up until this point over the last couple of days, the general understanding is that Cesar Chavez, founder of the United Farm Workers Union, with and in partnership or conjunction with Dolores Huerta, founder of the United Farm Workers Union, the claims were that he sexually assaulted her, raped her, and she had kids by him, unwanted or unwilling, etc. What I'm going to do up front, and this is how we solve problems, because I've seen this floating around. I've seen people commenting, and I get it. I understand we're going to be all over the place. But for one, and I'm going to put this like right up front. If you're a guy, if you're a man, if you're a male, and you're beginning the conversation about this item with, well, why did she wait so long? Or, well, he's dead, so he can't fight back or he can't answer. If that's your beginning point, then there's something wrong with you. You can quote me on that, and I'm a guy. Because as we do know generally, not just with Mexican America, but just generally as a whole in this country, and generally as a society, not just this country, uniformly, we almost begin with disbelief. We don't want to believe the female or the woman that is making claims or stating or alleging, etc. We find reasons for her not to be right. We find reasons for her to be wrong. We find reasons to not believe up front. And it starts with those simple, like honest things like, well, let's not jump to conclusions. Clearly, right? And I'll be the first to say that too. If you've noticed in my tone, I'm being extremely careful because I don't know everything. I can only know what we've read and what's been alleged and what we have out. And I'm sure that over time, over days, if not weeks, months, maybe more, I'm going to guess that there will be more. And I don't guess lightly and I don't gamble because I don't gamble, but I'm going to guess there's going to be more that comes out. There usually is, there almost always is. And then as more of that comes out, then we have to assess and decide on whether those things are true, whether they're verifiable, firsthand, etc. But I'm going to say it up front. Is it so hard to believe as a man, as a guy? Not speaking for ladies, I'm not a lady, but if you're a guy, is it that difficult to believe? Now I'm going to hit you right in the gut because this is what Supermex Nation does on this show. We don't Mickey Mouse or play games here. Let's get down to the meat of it. As a Mexican male, is it not in your thought, in your mind, that it is possible for a Mexican man to mistreat a woman? Yeah, you got that. Because I'm going to hazard a guess, and I'm going to go out not super far on a limb because I'm light as a feather, and I'm not going to break the limb anyway. But I'm going to guess, if you're a Mexican male, you have seen a Mexican man treat a woman badly, like physically, like beat on her, hurt her, or do more to her, rape her, etc. I'm going to guess you've seen that. If you've lived long enough, it is part of our culture. It's there. Don't tell me it's not because I know it is. So is it so incompatible cognitively to think, to believe that maybe a Mexican man a while ago, a long time ago, raped a colleague, sexually abused or assaulted another woman that he knew? It's a simple rhetorical question. The answer is obviously yes, that's possible. Yeah. Okay, see what we're doing here? This is good cognitive intellectual work. Not getting emotional, not getting crazy, but it is logical. You can say that. You can see that, right? I've seen Mexican men do things to women, not seen them raping, etc., but I've seen Mexican men, beat on women, or mistreat, or at the very least keep a woman in a corner and not let her speak, not let her talk because he's the man and she's not, and he's the man of the house and she doesn't get to say or do anything. She goes along with whatever he says. That's part of our culture. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody. If you're watching this and you're not that, outstanding. My love for you, okay? Good, Mexican man, good. Don't be that guy, all right? That is why this show exists in many ways, to address these types of issues, these types of items. So my point two and on, without going too far, I'm giving you like a parameter, a base with which to understand and go forward with. There's still a lot more to come out. But I think I'm going to say it, and I'll go out, like I said, slightly on a limb here, light as a feather. Not only do I not disbelieve Mrs. Huerta, but I'm going to guess and feel pretty comfortable in my guess that it's probably true and that it did happen. And we'll find out more because it's not shocking. It's not a surprise. It's not unfathomable. It's not incompatible with Mexican culture, Mexican American culture. It entirely is. And as I stated a few minutes ago, if we're going to reach our full potential, Mexican America. We got to clean up some of our house that way, specifically with this. Okay? So watch this. I have a mom, I have a wife, I have a daughter, sister. I got 4 of the things you can have as a male in terms of a life, with women. Got one of all of those. I know what my mom is. I know what my wife is. My sister as well. My sister's a little younger than me. But to my daughter in particular, and I would say the other 3 women in my life would probably, I won't go too far, I don't speak for them, but would probably be okay with me making this statement in terms of who I am, what I am, and what I raised. I know 100%, and I doubt she's watching the show because she's too busy anyway. She's in New York doing her thing and juggling 19 jobs and a master's program. But my daughter will not tolerate that shit. My daughter will not abide that, let alone allow a man to harm, hurt, or rape her. Okay? Not okay. Not okay. But that is today's young lady. That is today's Mexican woman. They don't have to. It's different. Times are different. Times have changed. The culture is different. And different in better ways. There are some things that are bad about how we're changing, but not that. Not that. Where a father can give time, energy to a son, a firstborn son, and you know how that works in Mexican culture. You know what I'm talking about. But still give equal, if not more, amount of energy, time, and effort to a daughter and her ability to gain success and reach her potential. Both. I was not unfair. I have a son and a daughter. I was not unfair. Was it equal at all times? No, because my son was older, came before. He was 5 years older than my daughter. So, and you know how this works if you're parents. You get into high school, everything magnifies. So my son was a little further along. My daughter was coming after. So obviously, there was a time when my son got more attention because I coached him too. So I was with him more. So he got more of my attention that way, right? Not to say my daughter didn't get attention. She got my wife's attention, right? But I always knew that when that time came and he graduated, then boom, all done. All my time, energy, effort is spent on her. And I would say to this day, unequivocally, that even though both of my kids are out of high school and out of college, both done. Well, take that back. My daughter's in the middle of a master's program at Syracuse University. She gets more of my time and energy than my son, by far. By far. So over a lifetime, I've probably tilted this Mexican male's attention. I've tilted the attention a little more in favor of my daughter. And I'm going to leave it on this point here with regard to the Dolores Huerta Cesar Chavez thing. I think if you're a Mexican man and you're raising a family and you have sons and daughters, not getting into the number, I had 1 and 1, that makes it kind of easy, right? But not getting into the number, but if you're a Mexican man, you need to balance those scales, give them equity. Again, not all perfect at any one time. Like I said, my son was older. He got a little more attention in high school than my daughter did as she was coming up from elementary to middle school. But over a life and over time, I have spent more time, energy, effort, and myself, who I am, for my daughter as of right now. Not to say that won't change. Maybe at some point, my son is closer to home. He lives in Boston. My daughter's in New York. But maybe he's back and I get to spend more time with him. Maybe it changed again. I don't know. But as of right now, I'm telling you, Mexican male America, Mexican men, Mexican fathers. And again, I don't think my mom, my wife, or my sister will complain that I've decided to do that with one, the young one, obviously my daughter. It's on you. It's incumbent on you to recognize that and to not just, oh, look at my mijo, he's this and that. He's looking, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. And then, oh, my daughter, she's so pretty. Oh, mija, come here. Let's give you a quinceañera and marry you off to somebody. That's not enough. It can't be enough. It can't be a minimum. If that's who we are, then we're never going to realize our full potential. So my point to you, Mexican male America, tilt the scales. Watch this. Tilt the scales a little bit in favor of your daughter. A little bit more for your daughter. Because all you're doing is balancing scales over generations of time in a culture where it has been markedly imbalanced in attention, love, expectation, success, etc. Women have not gotten the same shake as men. And to say that doesn't make you any less a man. It makes you honest. It makes you speaking the damn truth. Just spit it and speak the damn truth. No one's going to stand in front of me, any damn male, any man, and tell me that women have gotten a fair shake historically over the course of 5,000 plus recorded years of history. No, not even close. So I'm going to microcosm back down to this little particular subset of society, humanity, civilization, and say to you directly, Supermex Nation exists to do this in all the right ways. And like, who am I to say it? I'm just another Mexican dude that's raising a daughter and a son, just like you, or maybe not like you, maybe later like you. But I'm telling you directly, as an historian, women as a whole have not gotten a fair shake. Women have been raped, robbed, cheated, done to. Possibly here, Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez. Why does she not get the same attention that he does? I'm going to make it real simple. If all of this stuff, and again, we're finding out as we go, I'm not going to go too far, but if we find out all of this stuff is true, done. Watch this. This isn't the Trump cult, by the way. You can go rape women and we elect you president. This isn't the cult here. Mexican America needs to be better than that. We need to be better. If a Mexican dude raped a Mexican woman, this is a simple equation. Move the attention, move the love from the man to the woman. So the UFW was founded by these two people. Remove one, keep the other. It's that simple. Give her the attention. Give her the love. She was the one done to. I'm going to make that really simple for us as Mexicans in America. And for the record, she's still alive, man. And she's still doing the thing. Don't wait till she's gone to acknowledge her and the work she did and the shit she suffered. Give her the love and attention now. Let's start creating our own damn role models based on good example. Okay? So I'm making it really simple. Am I sweating bullets that Cesar Chavez's name is going to be tarnished and made to look bad? I don't give a damn. Because in my Mexican America, I don't abide or tolerate that garbage from anybody, including if it's me, by the way. All right, if I screw up or do something, come after me, do it. Let it all out. But no, because here's the final rule to all of this. Mexicans in America don't have the luxury of being able to go rape women or grab them by the pussy and get elected a president. We don't have that luxury, that crime, that illegality, that immorality, that unethical conduct. We don't have that luxury because when a Mexican, male or female, gets a chance, gets an opportunity, gains position, gains some power, we have an obligation and responsibility to do it better than everybody else, because if we don't, we damage the road for those coming after us. And that's quite literally why we don't have our place on the pedestal in this country as a people, as a subgroup, as a culture. That's why. So when we do get that opportunity, when we do get that chance, when we do have someone doing something incredible, damn it, we got to show them love and attention for doing it the right way. The right way. And when one of them does it wrong, you cut them. You cut them loose and move the hell on. Find better. Again, I'm going to say it. In our culture, we don't have that luxury. We don't have that ability to say, oh, he raped Dolores Huerta. Oh, well, let's move on because he's our leader. He started the farm workers union. Oh, cool. We can't do anything bad. We can't say anything bad about the guy. No. Sorry. Got nothing for you here. Mexican America does not have that luxury. Mexican America has to do it bigger and better than everybody else to gain equality, just to be equal, just to get the same. Bottom line, we have to have a minimum standard that we have to meet. And if we don't meet those standards, then it is not acceptable. And you move on. And when you do get people in those positions, when you do get people in power, they have to do it bigger and better than everybody else. Because if not, they will damage the road for Mexicans that come after them. They will damage the road. Again, we do not have that luxury. I've said plenty. I think you know where I stand. I have no qualms about how I say it, how I do it, what I believe. Because as I said at the top of the hour, top of the show, this is a right and wrong thing. This is a make a simple assessment and analysis and be logic driven before it's done. And again, more will probably come out. I'm almost positive of it. We will learn more. We will find out more. And if any of this is true, if this is what it is, then it's a simple equation for me. I got no emotion here. United Farm Workers had co-founders. Remove one, keep the other. That's it. And apropos, it is Women's History Month. So this becomes even more staggering in scope because it's Women's History Month. This draws a light and a focus on the treatment, the working conditions, the inequality in women trying to get the same place and position as men over time in history. Now, for the record, and as we finish up here, it is better than it was in the past. Okay? It is a better world we live in that way. If you're a Mexican father and you have a daughter, your daughter has greater opportunities than her mother or her grandmother did. Does that mean that it's all done and we're fine? No, it does not, because there's work involved. You have to teach your daughter that. You have to teach her that, Mija, when you get your opportunity, you can't blow it. You can't make mistakes. You can't do stupid stuff. You got to do it right. You got to do it above board. You got to do it better than in everybody else. And I've heard that too. You know, women in my life have told me, like, I can't have the same job and make the same money. I can't have the same job and do what the guys do. I got to do it better than them. I would say and this is for obviously for women, but for men too. You should be doing it better anyway. Don't lower your standards. Don't be minimum. But again, for dads, if I have nothing else from this show tonight that is remembered here by men or women, I'm telling you directly, if you're a Mexican man, a Mexican father, don't place limitations on your daughter. Don't place limitations on the women around you. Let them run their full. Let them grow. Let them find the full scope of who they are. Watch them, okay? Because if they grow, then you as a whole grow. I've said this before. I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint. But the 4 women that I've described in my life are all extremely strong in a lot of ways, in different ways, for who they are, but extremely strong, strong-willed, and capable of being who they are. If you're a Mexican man, that is what you should be striving to do. Because again, last point, if Mexican America is going to be full, then we have to be full as well. We're done, but I didn't get to a few of the things because this ended up being a meatier topic. And I won't say that I expected because I knew it would be, but this is significant. This is important if you're a man. Obviously, if you're a woman, for sure. But I've said this before. Mexican women and women in general cannot do this by themselves. They need men to be on board if they're going to get their fair shake, their fair turn. Mexicans have to help. Mexican men. Okay. But I didn't get to everything. Got to the women. Got to Chavez, Huerta. And I'll just say Huerta for UFW, not Chavez. Make it easy. But, and maybe we'll probably dive into this. Let me make this more of a heavier lead in for next Tuesday. And I want you to chew on this as we go into the weekend. There's plenty there with regard to the Trump-Stein war in the Middle East, the war that he started illegally because he did not get approval from Congress. Article 1 says that the Congress declares or conducts war, not the president. Illegal. But if there's any more evidence you need to see, again, if you're not in the cult, by the way, because as I've said before, Donald Trump can feed you a shit taco and you'll ask for salsa. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you regular, decent Mexicans out there that are rational and don't just run like a flock of sheep to whatever Trump tells you to say or do because you post and repeat whatever the hell he says. Pay attention this weekend. Pay attention overall. Not to what we are getting out of this, the United States. We're just going to end up losing life and maybe Trump makes some money somewhere through oil. But pay attention to what Israel and what the other Gulf states are getting and how they're benefiting from the United States spending millions and millions, billions of dollars on a war that none of us in America want, or at least the majority of America does not want. And watch how Israel and the Gulf states benefit off of us doing the heavy lifting and the work. And I put in the title, and I apologize for not getting into all of it, but in essence, Bibi Netanyahu, who I've addressed a little, and Israel and the other Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia, 14 or 15 of which the 9/11 attackers were from, by the way, attacked in 9/11 by Saudis. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states are going to benefit from American loss of life and American loss of money. Pay attention to that this weekend. We'll address it this coming week on Tuesday. Nothing but love for you. Pay attention as always. Be rational, be lucid, fact-based, and logic-driven. Don't let emotion get in the way of what you see. Okay? Nothing but love for you. I'll see you this coming Tuesday.